Before we dive into the ingenious strategies civilians used during World War II to survive food shortages, make sure to hit that subscribe button on Legacy of Survival and join a community dedicated to uncovering practical history that you can learn from today. By the end of this video, you'll not only know how ordinary people adapted to extraordinary circumstances, but also how these methods can inspire your own survival planning or historical explorations. The lessons from World War II are not just stories. They are a masterclass in resourcefulness, innovation, and sheer determination. During the war, food scarcity was an everyday reality. Governments rationed staples like sugar, butter, meat and even milk, forcing families to get creative. What civilians came up with were not just temporary fixes. They were sustainable, clever methods that kept communities fed year-round, even in the harshest conditions. Understanding these strategies gives modern survivalists and history enthusiasts a window into both human ingenuity and practical self-reliance. Civilians turned their gardens into strategic food arsenals. Victory gardens were more than just backyard projects. They were meticulously planned food sources that supplemented ration supplies. Families would allocate every inch of available land to vegetables, herbs, and even small fruit trees, rotating crops to maintain soil fertility. In some cities, entire neighborhoods organized communal gardens to maximize output. Today, you can replicate this by mapping out a home garden with seasonal rotations, planting high-calorie staples like potatoes, carrots and legumes, and creating a small herb section to boost nutrition and flavour. Applying crop rotation techniques, even on a small scale, ensures soil health and continuous harvests. Households used waste as a resource instead of throwing it away. During wartime, nothing edible was wasted. Vegetable peels, stale bread, and even coffee grounds were reused creatively. Families turned old bread into croutons or breadcrumbs, and potato peelings could be boiled into soup stock. This practice of zero-waste cooking not only stretched meagre rations, but also maintained nutrition. Modern survivalists can adopt the same approach: compost what can't be eaten, repurpose food scraps into broths or fertilizers, and track portions carefully to minimize spoilage. Civilians learned to preserve food without electricity. Canning, pickling and fermenting became essential, you know. Housewives and home gardeners discovered how to safely store vegetables, fruits and even meats without refrigeration, creating food reserves that lasted for months. Fermentation was particularly clever, as it preserved nutrients while producing essential vitamins, like vitamin C from sauerkraut. For anyone today, learning basic canning and pickling techniques can really transform a garden harvest into a reliable food supply, much like it did for families under wartime constraints. Bartering became a silent lifeline in communities. When government rations fell short, neighbours relied on each other. Swapping eggs for milk, vegetables for honey, or preserves for meat became a common survival strategy. This informal economy not only filled gaps in diet, but also strengthened community bonds. Even now, small-scale bartering can be a useful lesson. Growing a variety of crops or raising small livestock allows you to trade items that others lack, reinforcing both resilience and social ties. Urban dwellers used indoor spaces creatively for food production. Not everyone had access to a backyard, right? Apartment dwellers turned windowsills into micro-gardens, using pots, boxes and even improvised soil mixes to grow herbs, lettuces and root vegetables. Rooftops and unused courtyards were converted into edible landscapes. Today, vertical gardens, container planting and hydroponics echo these same strategies, allowing city dwellers to create meaningful, year-round food production, even in limited space. Civilians tapped into hidden or overlooked food sources. People learned to identify edible wild plants, weeds and even insects. Dandelion leaves, nettles and other so-called common plants became valuable nutrition sources. In addition, fishing in rivers, ponds or coastal areas supplemented the diet when markets were empty. For modern survivalists, understanding local flora and fauna, learning which plants are edible and practicing small-scale fishing or foraging can honestly turn overlooked resources into vital nutrition. Families mastered long-term planning for unpredictable shortages. Perhaps the most remarkable trick was strategic storage and rationing. Households rotated stockpiles, calculated caloric needs, and planned menus weeks in advance to make supplies last. They understood that surviving shortages wasn't about luck. It was about preparation, measurement, and discipline. Today, keeping a well-organized pantry, rotating stock, and planning meals with shelf life in mind really mirrors the same wartime wisdom, ensuring both nutrition and stability in uncertain times. World War II civilians didn't just survive. They innovated, adapted, and created systems that ensured entire communities stayed fed despite rationing and scarcity. By studying their methods, we gain insights into practical self-reliance, resource management, and even urban farming techniques that honestly remain relevant today. If you found these World War II survival tricks as fascinating and practical as I do, make sure to subscribe to Legacy of Survival and hit the notification bell so you never miss our deep dives into history that teach real-world skills. Share this video with friends and fellow history enthusiasts who want to see how ordinary people did extraordinary things to endure the toughest times.